All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Like an Entrepreneur. We're going to talk about the cash today. Actually, we're going to talk about solving problems.
Yes.
And looking cool while doing it with sunglasses on. We actually don't have to do that the whole time. We can get down to business. Okay, so everybody, say howdy to Jordan.
Hello.
And Jordan, thank you for joining us again for another episode of Like an Entrepreneur.
Thank you for having me, and gotta give a shout out to Mr. Jingles here. You two remind me of the two guys from the movie The Bucket List.
I haven't. Oh yeah. So which one
Jack
of us is
Nixon,
Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman.
I think one of us needs to get a little bit more of a tan. But you probably look more like Jack Nicholson.
Hey, I'd take Morgan Freeman, except for what you told me about Morgan Freeman when you drove him for your limousine job.
Yeah. So
do you tell that story publicly? Because that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Okay. So I've had a few assholes in my limos.
Oh,
and I'm not just talking.
I just gotta say, by far, dude from Tool Time, hands down. I've gotten more mileage off of that story than I probably any other. Solid.
Yeah. Well, that one will be another time. But Morgan Freeman. He seems like a really nice guy. He seems like a guy you'd want to hang out with and that you'd want to listen to because he has the voice of God. But he likes to screw with people, and I really didn't appreciate that. So I've driven Morgan Freeman. I've driven, Joe Montana was probably the guy that I enjoyed driving around the most. He was very polite, very friendly and everything, but don't ask him for his autograph. Because if you ask Joe Montana for his autograph and he is paying you, it's all over. You're instantly fired. And that's one of his rules. But with the fans, he was amazing. But like Morgan Freeman, he had this, I don't even know what it was he was doing. I dropped him off at like the Performing Arts Center or something like that. And so he's giving some sort of performance or talk or something. And so when I drop him off, he's like, "Sir, I'd like to have coffee whenever I get back." I can't do Morgan Freeman's voice. But it's the voice of God. You've got to do it.
Who can?
Right. And I remember this being like a Sunday morning and we're downtown and I don't remember everything except that he was very specific that he wanted it in a glass mug. And he wanted it hot whenever he came out the door. Okay, how do I know when you're coming out the door? I mean, I didn't say that to him. I'm like, okay, this is just one of these things you got to figure out. So they go inside, the door closes, there ain't nobody to talk to. So I have to sit out there waiting with this hot coffee, except, how do I keep coffee hot like that? I did not pass that test very well. So
you were not willing to buy a thermos and go get coffee.
Well, I didn't understand why. Actually, maybe I got stuck on that. Maybe I really got stuck on that with the whole why. Why does it need to be in a glass cup? Why can't I just have a thermos and an empty cup here or whatever?
Yeah, and you know why you got stuck on that? Because you're a freaking creative type. That's why.
That didn't fix nothing.
Okay, fair enough.
But I will say one other person that I drove around, he was a prince from Saudi Arabia, and I drove him for 3 days. And he had a girlfriend here when I lived in Portland. He had a girlfriend here, and I drove them around for 3 days, and I never made so much money in my life on tips.
Really?
I mean, oh yeah, literally like 13-hour days, $100 an hour in tips and stuff, and a really old bottle of brandy. He's like, he hands me like $500-600 and says, "Walk into the Hilton here and get 2 of their best bottles of brandy." Okay, I walk in, I go get the best bottles of brandy, and then I come out with them, or it was scotch. It was scotch, and it doesn't matter, does it? And so I hand them both to him, and he's like, "No, one of these is yours." Oh. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'll enjoy mine after I'm done driving you around. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and that bottle, I never opened it. It was like 20-year-old Scotch, and I never opened it, and it disappeared from my house.
Ouch.
Yeah, like 10 years later, I went looking for it, and I couldn't find
Ouch.
it, so it disappeared at some point.
Oh, so you wanted that back? You wanted to drink that? I'll bring it back.
Dude,
Fine.
dude, I'm going to enjoy this for some really special occasion later because I never bought stuff like that. Well, I
Sure,
mean,
sure.
now I like my really old whiskey and stuff, but yeah,
What's your
yeah.
favorite?
Well, I probably drink Maker's Mark the most,
Okay. Do they have
but
like a high-end reserve?
yeah, they do. I think it's called 42, and it's probably about 50% more than Maker's Mark, and Maker's Mark is already kind of expensive. But yeah, but my viewers bought me something, so
Wow.
I don't know if you know this.
No.
So, yeah, we really can't show labels, so you'll just see half the label. But
Okay.
yeah, they bought me this. This is bourbon whiskey, and it was $100 for this bottle. And so you guys on one of my, I think it was for my birthday, that you guys got it in your head that you were going to donate money for whiskey, and donations started coming in, and I went out and bought whiskey.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. That's
I
awesome,
wasn't going to
man.
turn that down.
Yeah, yeah. It's really thoughtful of them. You got some
Yeah,
great viewers, man. You got some
I
real
do.
viewers.
I do. I am really happy about that. And in fact, it's you guys that inspired this show. And so this show really, when Jordan and I met, we both knew we were entrepreneurs or whatnot, and we're like, okay, so there is some chemistry here of thinking that we could work together, and the and then we're looking what our skill sets are and everything, and Jordan is a great marketer, and you're very creative, you analyze a lot of stuff, you look at a lot of stats, you look at customer flows and everything. And me, I work on attracting people in, and I'm on the creative side too, and I thought creative would be really bad, but we've done okay. So
Yeah, our experience is really, really different, right? And
yes.
our knowledge base is really different. So, and what you're really talking about is tried and true. This is solid advice for everyone. If you are going to create a team for your venture, and you should surround yourself with as many supportive people as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't surround people who are exactly like you, because you're not getting a wide breadth of skills and talent. You're just getting more of the same, you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you
Yeah.
got to have somebody who is, if you're a creative, you got to have somebody who's the analytical guy. If you're the analytical guy, you got to have somebody who's creative. I mean, you've got to seek out people who have different skill sets from you. Marcus and I know this because we've been entrepreneurs for, well, I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years. You've been an entrepreneur for most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Since I
knew,
was 5, 41 years.
fair enough.
I can trace my roots back to there, but I've worked for people in between. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So, you've got this rule, and Marcus and I know this rule, and we both say, we're both a couple of creative guys. This actually shouldn't work well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
working very well, but it shouldn't because we're both creative. The difference is that there's also a new distinction. The distinction is that if you are an analytical kind of person, if you think through processes and things like that, that's okay. You don't have to be anyone else. But the next person you should be looking for on your team is a creative type who preferably is an attractor, somebody who goes out and attracts attention, goes out and brings the crowds in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
you're somebody who has no problem bringing crowds in, but you're having a problem with figuring out what to do with them, really monetizing or anything like that, that's what you use the analytical guy for. So I think that perfectly kind of describes our partnership. And,
Mm-hmm.
we both do things that are outside of our comfort zone, and that's key to being a successful entrepreneur. You got to constantly be out of your comfort zone. For instance, I don't like this. I mean, I like talking to you,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I like our viewers. They're great, but this whole attraction thing, my mind just doesn't work this way. If I wrote a sales page and I designed a sales funnel and did all the online stuff that goes into marketing automation, I will crush it. I'll put my stuff up against anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But man, don't ask me to try doing the attraction stuff that you're really good at. I suck at it. I mean, I'm just, thank God you're here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have
It's
anybody to talk to. It'd be a crappy show, especially since it's your show. Me being here by myself would kind of be weird, huh?
um might be, yes. So,
So, so today we're talking about how to solve problems like an entrepreneur.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'll just say that one of the inspirations behind this show is that we wanted to share entrepreneurialism and a lot of things how to do that. And you can see on the screen right now the YouTube success product and everything. It's exclamation point no job in Twitch chat. There's a link in the description of YouTube. And we have been teaching classes now with how to be a professional YouTuber and how to really knock it out of the park and how to make money doing this. So if that is of interest to you at all, I recommend checking it out, and you can work with us on that. It costs less than a video game. So anyway, and we can talk a little bit more about that later. But that's kind of how the show got started, and so. But
Yeah,
like, go
if you
ahead.
go to the sales page, you won't see any testimonials. We did that because we first started out with no testimonials. Now that
Mm-hmm.
we have had people purchasing, just ask anyone in chat. They'll tell you it's a great product, especially for $45. It's a
Mm-hmm.
solid deal.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take our word for it. Feel free to ask people in chat. They'll tell you.
Well, and money back guarantee.
Yep.
So if you're not happy with it, then you know we want to know the reason so that we can improve whatever the reason was. But the reason doesn't matter as to if you get your refund back or not. You can say, well, whatever, I just want my money back. Okay, we won't fight that. So
Yeah.
we believe everybody should get good value out of this, and we
Yep.
want that to happen.
So far, everybody has. Anyway, we were talking. We were talking earlier this week or last week, and we were talking about how entrepreneurs actually go about solving problems. And I got to tell you, some of the ways that entrepreneurs solve problems absolutely astound me. You've got a great story about how you had a really, really crazy bad customer at your computer store. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
ever told that story before, but it reminds me of, and I can't remember who did this, but there was a fish canning company up in, I think, Alaska or something. Um, Stop me if I already told you this, right?
No,
So
I don't think I've heard this.
they're canning salmon, right? And something happened in the process that turned all of the meat white. It was perfectly fine. It tasted exactly the same as their normal canning process, but something happened. All the meat became white in the can. So they go to the marketing guy, and they're like, "Well, we're screwed. You got to think of something, or we're going to have every store sending back our cans."
Mm-hmm.
And
Special
so,
edition salmon.
no, better than that. Better than that. So this guy had a little bit of an entrepreneur flair to him. He says, "All right, this is what we're going to do." He did some major rebranding, and their tagline became, so and so salmon. I can't remember, the only salmon guaranteed not to turn pink in the can, because everybody else's salmon was pink.
This is like car sales because there's
Probably.
nothing. All the cars have the same features. It's like, but this one now is available in burnt orange.
Well, what the marketing guy did effectively was he insinuated that all of their competition had something wrong with their canning process because all of their
Huh.
competition, the salmon was all pink,
Yeah.
right? So
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. You know.
yeah.
Huh.
But you've got one that is. Oh, here, hold on. I want you to tell your story, but
Yeah,
ask Rasmussen.
the Echo, we've worked on this Echo, and I have not been able to fix it yet. It has to do with mix minus is what I need to do,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
but
it's very complex.
for the record, the first thing we did was plugged in a headset and tested it
Yes,
extensively.
it's not head that
So
it
it's
has to
just
do with using a whole mixer board and multiple machines to do this, and the only way to get around it would be to not do the show on this machine in this setup, and so it will be fixed eventually. But until then, Jordan is God. He's got that godly echo.
and the ego to go with it. So
All we need is a Morgan Freeman voice on you, and then
that's
it'll work.
we got to do a mixer of some kind. You've got a sound mixer that you could probably do that with.
I do. I sound it does a great job of making me sound like Barbie.
That's great. That's great. So having that said, you had a computer repair
Mm-hmm.
business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know me. I have this thing about dealing with the general public, right? So as soon as you open the doors and you have the general public walk in, like for instance, when you were a bus driver, anything can happen. You just gotta understand. You're gonna have crazy people come in. You're gonna have people that look normal who are actually even more crazy come in, and that's actually what happened to you, right?
Well, in the bus many times, and then in in the computer store, I freaked out on this one because this woman was not right in her mind. She wanted a refund on. It was so dumb. She was getting her computer upgraded, and then when we opened up her computer, we found a hard drive just laying in the bottom of her computer. It was a tower, and so because back then not all computers were towers. A lot of them, were made to set your monitor on top of, and so we found this hard drive and we plugged it in. And it seemed to work, and so we called her and we're like, "Hey, we found this hard drive in here." She's like, "Oh yeah, my son unplugged it. He said there was something wrong with it." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, well we'll test it." And we tested it. It seemed to work, and we couldn't find anything wrong with it, so we plugged it in. And then we upgrade her computer, we send it home and everything. And, a couple days later, she's calling us saying that the hard drive has failed. The second hard drive, not our main hard drive, but the second hard drive that we found in there. And so since it failed, she wanted a refund. And we're like, a refund on what? She's like, well, the hard drive doesn't work. And we're like, but this was the one that we found in your computer that you said you wanted hooked up. And she's like, yes, but you have warranty on the labor. Well, okay, so yes, we have warranty on the labor, so bring it in and we will unplug it. And that's all we were going to do. And she's like, no, that's not acceptable. You got to fix it. Well, this kind of went round and round, and she
So
brought the
so by the
computer
way,
in.
this is what we call the last person who touches it must be to blame because there's no other explanation, right?
Well, I now know that the explanation is the problem wasn't us.
Well, of course.
Yeah,
Of course, but anytime you do anything like that, it's like like to the consumer, they don't understand. So the last person who touched this machine, they must be at fault. And this time
right.
it was you,
I'm sure
right?
mechanics hear this all the time. You were
Oh,
working on my transmission and my wheel fell off,
oh yeah.
and it's your fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we didn't touch the wheels, you
Yep.
know.
That's
Well,
exactly,
no,
yep.
but you worked on it and it fell off, so you need to fix it now.
Yeah, they actually have to, poor guys, man. I feel for these guys that deal in the auto repair business. They deal with people who come back in months later and say, "Yeah, after you gave it back to me, there was something wrong, and I waited the better part of the year to complain about it."
Right.
Whatever. So anyway, I've taken you down the yellow brick road. Go ahead.
So anyway, so then she's demanding all this warranty stuff, and we were like, no, we are just going to give you a refund because we can't fix this. We cannot solve this problem. You can't fix unreasonable.
Yeah.
There is no fix for that other than to exit out. And so our exit out, the way to solve this problem was to give her a refund and to put her old computer back together. Well, she gave us such a bad time and everything, then we're like, okay, but we're going to have to charge you labor to put the computer back together because we've spent all this time doing this. And you can't expect us to do all this stuff for free. And she's like, no, labor's covered under warranty. We're not warrantying you anything. We're giving you a refund. And so it kind of went round and round and round. And I'm like, fuck it. Put all the parts in a box and hand those to her with her refund. We are not putting this back together. I didn't care if we got a Better Business Bureau strike or nothing. I was like, this woman is completely nuts. And so when she came and picked up her stuff, she told us that weekend she was going to picket our store. She was going to bring all of her friends and family and everything, and she was going to picket the store. I was like, holy cow, what am I going to do? Because I'm thinking that kind of shit ends up on the news as bad press. I don't want that. So I called my buddy Tim, because I didn't have this idea on my own. He taught me this. And he has a much different way of thinking. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? And he says, go out and buy picket signs. He's like, go get the wooden stakes and the pieces of cardboard. They're like white on each side or whatnot in the right size, and you just staple them onto the board or whatnot. And then you can go out there and you can picket with her. I'm like, what? He's like, no, that the store is so good. and he's like, just have all your staff there and everything, and have and so no need to spend any time on it until she shows up. And so she showed up, and but it was just her and her daughter. She didn't have any of her friends with her. Her friends must have all thought she was nuts too. But I have to give her this. She had the balls to show up, just her and her daughter, with their picket signs, and she was going to picket us. We started putting the picket signs together and everything and started walking out with our picket signs. She saw us, freaked out, and left. And that was his advice. He's like, flood this disorder with order. That's another one of my rules, by the way.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Is that anything that's broken or whatnot, you can flood disorder with order to just drown it out. So if you have no control over it, that's okay. Take what you have control over and just start putting that out and completely flood out the other stuff. And so that worked out really well. In fact, almost instantly when we walked out, I was kind of disappointed because I don't think we got all the staff even out the door when she gave up. So, but she knew she instantly lost whenever we walked out with our own picket sign saying how great the store was.
That's hilarious.
And then we didn't have any reason to tell anybody. I didn't get to pick it.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, I thought your law here, flood disorder with order, to drown out the disorder. It's a great law, man. I've written that down. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. That's a really good one.
One of my rules of business. So.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid. So, okay. So we've got a great Facebook group. Actually, we've got two great Facebook groups. One for entrepreneurs, people who are interested in becoming an entrepreneur, or people who are entrepreneurs and want to share and learn with others. That's I think one of the links coming up every once in a while.
It does. There's a link in YouTube description, and then it keeps coming up in Twitch chat. And I'm just looking for what my command is to fire that off.
Okay. So that's the free group, so to speak. The other one is the YouTube Success Group for everyone who has purchased the product, the Ultimate Gamer's Guide to YouTube Success. As part of that product, we offer free access to this group where we answer questions and bounce ideas back and forth. So far, I got to tell you, I am really, really impressed with both groups, but particularly the YouTube Success Group. I just can't believe how much everyone is helping each other. We actually, they're actually forcing me to do more work because it's so awesome, and I'll tell you why.
Wait, awesome takes more work?
Yeah, well, this was not planned, okay? But I don't know if you noticed or not, but in our group, we've got people sharing resources with each other at a rate that is forcing me to create a list of resources so that everybody has one place to go for resources. And they might be, what settings to use for which screen capture software, or what's the best video editing software out there and why, who's using it for what, and just a bunch of stuff. As a matter of fact, I think it was David who shared with us. If it's not David, I apologize to who it was, but I think it was David who shared this really incredible YouTube intro software that lets you put together one of those really professional ones with logos spinning and the high tempo music, all totally free. Unbelievable. Really great share.
Yeah, I went and looked at that. It looked like it was really easy to use.
Yeah, I actually put one together for a guy who I've been kind of going back and forth with, and he's an incredible marketer, really, really good marketer. So I know he would value this. So I actually spent about half an hour on that software and put together an intro for his YouTube videos and just said, hey, man, just want to let you know, I was thinking of you. There you go. And it made such a freaking splash with him. The next time that I reach out to him, I know he'll remember me. Being able to use that in a way that I don't think anybody was really considering in any case is a really, really awesome thing to do. So with that in mind, we got some great questions from our Facebook group, Like an Entrepreneur Facebook group. Somebody, I don't know if you saw those notes that I made on the shared document. The first one is, I'm running a bit dry for business ideas. Where do I go to get ideas? Porn.
Wait, what?
That's
not where I go to get ideas.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Go to where the pros go. Go look at the porn industry. They've got great. They're always leading everything. No? Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And Marcus remembered the exact moment that the show turned for the worse.
Right. Yes. Viewership is dropping off. Viewership looks limp.
That's right.
Yeah. So I know you brought it up, and I had to put it back down.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we could do so many jokes on that. So on business ideas, there's a way of thinking where you just start looking at everything as possible opportunity. Is that a double positive? I don't know. That kind of sounded weird. But so everything I look at, so let's even use an example that's right here, right now, on the show, right in front of us, in our ears. And it says godly echo that you have. Yeah. And it's this issue. Now, if I could buy a little module that I could just stick in line, or if I could install a piece of software that I could spend $20, $30 for, something like that would fix this issue, totally I'd buy it. Because I'm having a problem that my drivers aren't working in Windows 10 in order for my mixer board, and it looks like I'm going to have to upgrade my whole mixer board to fix this, which is dumb. I bought this piece of hardware, and it does perfect for everything but this one thing when Jordan talks.
It's that freaking guy, Jordan, I'll tell you.
So there's a business idea. I mean, and that can be that, okay, so let's just say I'm not into making this software myself or this hardware. But if I'm asking the question for how do I fix this, I know other people are asking the question as well. In fact, it took me a lot of Googling. There was a whole bunch of people asking, not many answers. And what that tells me is there's opportunity in the market. So all I have to do is a well-placed web page that's very organic, that has that when people are searching for this particular problem and I have the solution for them, even if I don't make it, even if I'm referring the sales or I've bought the stuff and I'm reselling it or whatnot, and I will make a couple of sales a day. That may not sound like much, but if I'm making $5 on each one, let's say it's a really low number because it sells for low. Imagine making 2 sales a day, $10 profit every day. After 30 days, what are you at? You're at $300. So $300 a month, it's easy. And if it's software, it just replicates itself. You don't have to ship nothing. So
yeah, and you bring up a really, really solid point, because here we're talking. I think it's safe to say that it would take some resources to actually solve the problem, right? To come up with that piece of software or the hardware that you're talking about, right? So Marcus and I understand. We get that we're not talking about just going out there and building a huge business to solve a problem, right?
mm-hmm.
We're talking about starting small, taking small baby steps towards the solution. And I love your idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. Something on a website that says, hey, here's how you solve the problem. Here are these steps. It's ad supported or whatever. Maybe you put an opt-in box to start building your own list. Hey, that makes all the sense in the world to me. I think that's a very smart idea. And how hard is it to just throw up a website or even just a web page?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not.
I'm seeing the similarity here that this is what we've done with the YouTube success stuff. I just realized that.
Yeah,
because that's what we've done. We've put this information out there, and the charge is really low. And so all these people who have wanted to get a YouTube channel started are doing it because getting the momentum and getting started is the hardest thing. And our guide nails that. It nails it. You cannot finish the guide without having published videos. And publishing is the biggest thing.
We strongly encourage action and berate you throughout the video if you have not taken action. But it is technically possible to finish without.
Well, you can watch the stuff, but you cannot do what we have told you to do, because we're constantly telling you to take action. And you guys may not know this, but an entrepreneur, if you don't take action, you're not an entrepreneur. And so that is a required trait of an entrepreneur, is to take action. Because otherwise, you're just planning stuff and thinking about it in your head. Even if action is telling other people so they can take action, that's still action.
Yeah.
Not as profitable, but it's still action. So
I agree. And not many people like to hear that. They like to hear that, their idea has value and they get to become an entrepreneur just by having the idea. That just ain't going to cut it.
I think a lot of people think, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to work for myself so I can be lazy. And I think that it's kind of a misnomer that, so can I be lazy as an entrepreneur and having all these things go on? Well, I get to say that today I'm tired, I want to take a nap. I can do that. Or today I have family coming in town, we're going out for the day and screwing around. Or whatnot. I have the freedom to do all of that. But if I were building this so that I could just sit back in my smoking jacket and have Playboy bunnies hanging around and by the pool or whatnot, there's a hell of a lot of work to do to get to that point. So,
freedom is not the same thing as being lazy or having it easy.
Well, true. Lazy is having someone else pay for everything for you, but then you're still beholden to them. You know how much effort people put into... one of my kids, he put so much effort into avoiding doing what he needed to do that I'm like, holy shit, dude, you realize you could have had that done 5 times over with as much effort you put into it, and it had all been done.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think everyone can relate to that, though, because we
Mm-hmm.
all actively avoid pain. And if it's something we do not want to do, we actively avoid it. And as
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, it doesn't mean that we're superhuman. It doesn't mean that we're anything different. We also avoid doing things that we don't want to do, and they don't get done, because if you're the entrepreneur, then that means that if you don't do it and you don't have someone else doing it, it's just not going to get done. And this is why we talk so much about getting a partner, getting a team, getting a community, getting people who are good at things that you don't want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to do them, you're not going. They're just not going to. So I'll give you an example. Most salespeople or most entrepreneurs, me included, will absolutely, positively not make cold calls for their business. Right? So what's one of the first things that we hear when we go out to be entrepreneurs? Well, you got to make the sales. Go to the networking meetings. Go to the local chamber of commerce and
Mm-hmm.
network and go and make sales. And you got a cold call. You just got to pick up the phone and start calling your market and making pitches. I will not do that. Even if it's good for me. I mean, I know I can make sales if I did. I just hate doing it so much. So what do I have to do? I have
Mm-hmm.
to either find somebody to do those specific things or find a different way of doing them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my answer was I found a different way of doing it. And that was with marketing automation. That was with online sales funnels.
Right.
That's how much I hate cold selling,
He
right?
hates people. No,
Well, not all people, just
not
most.
really. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how about this? How about there are three different kinds of salespeople out there, right? And everybody always lumps them into one group. There's the guy who goes out and attracts people like you,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the real world, you'd be the guy that's going door to door, knocking on doors, just appointment setting or whatever, right? And it would not wear you out to do that, because you get to meet somebody interesting at every stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like me, I'd freaking eat a bullet before I did that. I just no, 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 no. Now, I'll be the guy who accepts the phone call when you set up the appointment, and I'll talk to the person like a real human being when they call. But other than that, nope, nope. So we got to go and find those people. And when we create, I think what we should do, Marcus, is in our YouTube success group, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I think we should do something fun, teaming people up, because there are people who are very active in our Facebook group and they're taking action, and then there are people who are not taking action because they're struggling with some element of it. And I'd be willing
Mm-hmm.
to bet you that if we opened the gate and opened the opportunity for both of these people to have the attractor doing what he loves to do, which is actually do the recordings, and then you team him up with the analytical guy who just wants to do the video editing, for instance. Put those guys together, and you got a great team.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think
Yeah.
like I'm not kidding when I say that you really need a good team, and we are we are living proof of that, right?
I think the so there's an answer from the question from the dude in Twitch chat. He says, "What if I can't find a decent partner? How do I start looking?" And then he says he needs a software guy, and teaming up would be awesome. So he's right in line with everything you're saying, and in all honesty, so like those networking groups and stuff. I mean, that's where you find other people that have the skill sets that you don't have. It's not necessarily. I have not found those to be good places to make sales. I have found those to be
Yeah.
good places to meet people, to team up, and and if the dude, I don't know if you're in our YouTube group or not, but if you are, why don't you just post what you need in the YouTube group, and whoever in the group has what you need may very well speak up, and it may just bam work just like that. It's like throwing two magnets together,
Hmm.
you know, and and so And that is another form of advertising,
Hmm.
because you have to go out and sell that somebody is going to work with you, for what you need. And so I am always on the lookout for people who have skill sets that would work well with the stuff that I have. And then I try and do some things with those people, and some of them have been with viewers even. So, Brain Manager is asking, where is the YouTube group? You have to be in the YouTube Success class in order to get into it, and so that's why you can't find it. The Like an Entrepreneur group, you could post in there as well, but the YouTube group is that's for people who are doing the class.
Yeah,
So.
we have two, right? So we've got the Like an Entrepreneur free for everyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. And then the YouTube Success Group is part of the product package. I see here the dude says, I am in the group. I'm assuming he's answering your question about the YouTube Success Group. So perfect. The dude, just make sure that you make a post, and we'll figure something out. We'll have some fun with it. But remember something, just like everything else, it may not be a sale per se. It may be a deal crafting conversation, but you're still acquiring something. You're not, may not be acquiring a customer, but you're acquiring a partner. And remember, there's a whole field of study devoted to that, right? So I mean, there are people who are experts at what they call acquiring talent, right, or things of that nature. So just don't get frustrated. You're meeting people. You're gonna jive with some. You're not gonna jive with others, and that's okay. And that's what it's about. Marcus and I did not decide to do a business the first day we met,
No, absolutely not.
right?
Absolutely not.
So, and then Brain Manager, yes, the YouTube class is it's the product. It's the ultimate gamer's guide to YouTube success. So that's a series of videos, over 7 hours of videos, and it comes with a free webinar and access to our YouTube Success group that Marcus and I participate in all the time, and we're always answering questions and things of that nature. And by the way, before I move along, I want to give a shout out to Looney City. Looney City said early on that he's looking at the marketing for, I think he means porn. It's a multi-billion-dollar a year business, so watching the market is a smart idea. Good for you.
Well,
I
there's a
like,
term, whatever wets your whistle.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, normally used for drinking, but okay, Marcus, we'll go.
Yes.
We'll
Well,
go.
I actually had an opportunity to work with the porn industry many years ago, and I turned it down. And
He wasn't good looking enough.
well, it was back when the internet was just coming out,
Okay.
and the this is a horrible story, but you got to hear it. You got to hear it. And
Okay.
so,
All right.
basically, a
By
buddy
the
of mine
way,
and I.
that's a great way to preface a story for for a Twitch TV show. But go ahead, I'm all ears. I'm sure everyone else is.
So a buddy and I knew this other gentleman who ran a BBS, and he had people calling in from all over the world, paying him to download nudie pictures over the over dial-up. And we're not talking child porn or anything about of this, but we're talking about like stuff you'd find in magazines and stuff. Normal magazines you can buy, not I just want to preface that. Well, I don't want, because people think porn and they instantly go to bad places. And
Well, I wonder why.
okay, I'm not going to dig that hole any deeper.
All right.
But so he was wanting to expand to now include the internet. And a buddy of mine put up one of the first ISPs in Portland, and was one of the first people that was offering internet. And back then it was Archie, Gopher, and Veronica. And These were the commands that you used in order to search and to fetch and then to view.
Okay.
And so anyway, so this guy became very, very popular with his dial-up service for being able to download these pictures and stuff. And we were, um, you know, we were looking at that going, wow, he's making a lot of money doing this, and that's pretty awesome. But you know, I at the same time was like, what is the mother test? Meaning, what is mom going to think about my career? If I'm doing this or whatnot. And so I decided not to get into that. And our friend came to us and he said, "Oh my God, I am so excited." And we're like, "What?" And he's like, "I got asked to go onto the Oprah Winfrey show. They want to talk about my business." And I'm like, "Okay." It just seemed a little strange why they would want to talk to him. But I thought, well, maybe they're not talking about the porn stuff. Maybe they just his other business stuff, his online business stuff or whatnot. And and so anyway, then we're like, when are you going to go do this? And they like flew him to Chicago and everything, put him up in a hotel for a couple of nights and stuff. And
Which, by the way, I don't want to interrupt, but as soon as you said Oprah, I thought, well, he's got it made because she's the star maker.
right,
Like
right.
like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
countless people have made their fortunes just by showing up on her show.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Well,
awesome.
Well, so he got back into town and he was unable to be contacted. He just shut down all communication. And so we're like, we don't know what's up. But then I saw him probably a couple weeks later and I'm like, "How'd your stuff go with Oprah?" And he's like, "I got these new modems over here and they really rock, and he was just totally avoiding it and not wanting to talk about it at all. What we found was I never saw the episode because I don't watch Oprah, and back then it was, you had to like have the video tapes and you had to record everything and stuff to get it because there was no reruns or whatever. And so, but what we found out was that what happened is he was the bad guy and they totally lambasted him on the show. And against this, like, abuse of women or whatever, I don't know.
Hmm.
And he totally was not excited about it anymore. And so I am glad that I never got into that industry.
Yeah, it kind of it limits you only because of what other people think about it, right? Because you could, I got a buddy of mine who solved a software problem for primarily the porn industry, although this is a multimedia problem
Hmm.
that other industries have, right? So, but what is he known for? He's known for writing software for the porn industry, right? At that
Yeah.
point in time, you got to start thinking in terms of what is a public relations problem and what is
Right.
like a business problem, right? So he's just got a PR problem. That's all,
Yeah.
right? And
I can't imagine having, made my business career in an industry like porn and then try and do something else because I think that would follow you around everywhere, and then you're just kind of stuck there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Looney City clarified. He says, well, not porn itself, he said, but the way they do marketing and stuff like that, it works. Yeah, man. The porn industry relies on one advertising phrase throughout history: sex sells.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you took anything that anyone is doing, you want it to be unique, just add some hot girls to it, and you're unique, right? And that's like their shtick over and over and over again. Which, by the way, marketing is not the same as advertising, right? So we talk about marketing a lot because we're both good at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the same as advertising, right? Advertising is a form of marketing, but marketing is a very, very big umbrella for a lot of things to fit under. Advertising is one of those things. And by the way, all of the stuff that we're talking about, there is one thing that is the trump card for everything that we're talking about. Any kind of business, right? And it's who is the market. If you have a solid understanding, I mean a really solid understanding of exactly who your market is, you can deliver a ton of value and get paid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's all we've done, right? So we said, you know what? We started talking, you and I, right? And we started geeking out over video games. And you started telling me things like, you know, I play Eve, and if you can make money in Eve online, you can make money in real life. It's just
Mm-hmm.
you do exactly the same stuff. At which point in time in that conversation, my jaw hit the floor. And I was like, okay, I'm all yours. Tell me. I want to hear about it. Right. And we started talking about it. And I was just so blown away. I thought, you know what? People would really appreciate this. I mean, we'd have to really structure something carefully so that people understand exactly what you're talking about. This wouldn't be
But I
like,
use my same entrepreneurial philosophies that I use to make a living, outside of the game, that I do to make money in the game.
yeah, yes, yes. And it was a lot of work to put it all together to make it make sense, right? But this was all 100% based on, can we deliver value to a market?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only question that there is, right? Because if you can't, then what all you're trying to do is make money, and nobody appreciates that. You will not ever get repeat customers. You'll never build a list of happy, referenceable customers that will make you millions. So when you are first thinking about what you're trying to do, and this I think sums up number one, the first question that we're talking about, running a bit dry for business ideas, focus on a market. Find out what they absolutely hate, what they absolutely love, what the big problems they have in their life, not just with a product or service, but in life.
Mm-hmm.
You might find that there is a real quick connection between a big problem that they have in life and a product or service that they're using. But if you look at that just through the scope of the product or service, you probably won't get very good information from them because they don't really know what you're asking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed that, Marcus, but it always cracks me up when people do focus groups, right? So, what are you going to get out of a focus group? Well, sometimes you get some valuable stuff. I actually knew a very nice couple here in Florida who actually ran a focus group facility.
Mm.
So they'd have these people come in products, and I'll never forget one of the products they were testing was was razors for men. And I don't know if it was Gillette or whoever. Like, I have no idea who was testing this razor, but it was freaking brutal. So what they had was these sinks lined up with two-way mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the guys stand at the sink and shave, right, with these razors. And on a couple of occasions, like, these poor guys were in just so much excruciating pain shaving with these razors. They're just like there's blood and everything. And the
Well,
people who were running the focus group are like, why do they continue to shave if it hurts so bad? What is going on?
because they're being paid to shave in front of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought I'd throw that little anecdote in there.
Well,
I thought it was pretty
focus.
funny.
I mean, it shows you that you have a shit product. You have a shit razor.
Yeah.
Is what you got. You know.
So focus groups aren't a waste of time. You will get some information, but let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, when you have like a frank conversation, just a real candid conversation, maybe over drinks with a group of your market, you'll learn some fast. You'll things real fast.
I watched a presentation from CCP, who makes EVE Online. I watched a presentation from them about a focus group they did on new players. and the new player experience that's in there now is a result of that. But what they found is that people didn't know how to control their ship and stuff. I mean, and it's kind of crazy things like Star Trek 4, I think it is, where they save the whales. If anybody's seen that movie, and
Yeah, we.
so
Yep.
Scotty
The
finds.
Trekkies of us do not
Yeah.
acknowledge that as a movie.
Oh, okay, whatever. And so Scotty is like at a computer, and they're like, well, you can access all the information here, and he just starts speaking to it, and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
like
they're like, no, you got to use the mouse. And so
that's
he
right.
picks up the mouse and he says, computer,
That's right.
please do whatever. And
That's right.
because people just
Yeah.
don't have an understanding, and so if your product isn't easy enough to use that people can do that, then you have to teach them, and that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. U.S. Marine Corps tanker says, I have a friend who invented and is trying to patent a new mount and rotator for vehicle-based weapons. The Department of Defense is examining and currently looks like it's a no-brainer because of the cost. That's great, man. You know what? I got to tell you, engineers freaking blow my mind. They know rules about physics that just it always impresses me. And so if you have a talent for that kind of thing, you can invent something and you can patent it. Patents cost in the United States around $25,000. I actually have a very good friend who's a patent attorney, and as a matter of fact, we might want to have him on one day, just because he's just so full of great information. If you're an inventor, man, I think that's like the best thing you can do is go out, invent something, and then have it patented, and then play the royalty game for the rest of your life. That's so cool. That's kind of the dream come true. You did like but here's the thing though. There's always a double-edged sword with that, right? What about like the movie with Russell Crowe about the guy who invented windshield wipers? Right.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up suing the three big automakers for freaking 20 years or something, right? Lost his family. Everybody called him a kook. I mean, didn't have any friends left at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're not prepared to protect your patent, then you gotta really think through what you're planning on doing.
There is just owning the patent doesn't mean anything. It's the enforcement of the patent that keeps your ownership.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you know what just absolutely kills me are the patent trolls, particularly in this country, because they'll take you to court and you'll win, but that just simply means that you get to continue doing business as usual. Well, how much did that lawsuit cost you? And there are enough trolls in this country who will sue you for a patent infringement over and over and over again. And I just, man, I'll tell you, I would really, really recommend getting some great legal help if you were going to go down the road of getting a patent for that kind of stuff. That's just me.
It's not in my area of expertise.
Yeah, I prefer software that you copyright.
Yes.
Maybe you want to trademark a,
You trademark logos, saying slogans and images.
Yeah.
And then you copyright images, text, and
software.
Software,
and you can protect your trade secrets, right? But I mean, you know all about that. You still have to be willing to. You have to be willing to.
I've enforced my trademark before, so I have trademark on Marky Dragon, and then I've also enforced copyright. Gosh, many times, more times than I can count. People stealing my shit.
Good for you.
So.
By the way, Internal Quasar says, "Speak as your own. I'm a Trekkie and I love number 4, The Voyage Home." Okay, man.
That is my favorite. My favorite Star Trek movie.
Really?
Absolutely.
Save the Whales. Hey, did you see that documentary on Spock?
way to change the subject.
Well, I was going to
Yes.
say, I didn't realize until I watched that he directed that movie.
Right. Leonard Nimoy was amazing. Yeah,
Apparently.
his son did the documentary. Yeah.
Yes. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw. Do you watch The Big Bang Theory?
No.
All right. So
I couldn't be bothered, especially someone who loves Star Trek.
Gotcha.
Just
Fair enough.
saying.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. So we've got a What are you doing?
I'm looking for something.
Okay. Wow. All right. So thanks for leaving me. I appreciate it.
Oh, batteries are dead.
I heard it though. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, yeah, I just don't know how to. I don't have the tact. So, but I just wanted to prove to you that we are on opposing teams here, Jordan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I tend to be more of a Star Wars guy, but not by much. I do love Star Trek. I really do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was George Takei who's in
Taki?
both.
Is it Taki or Takei?
I think it's Takei.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And yeah, I think he was in both. I think he was in Star Wars and Star Trek, and was one of the only people who can make that claim to fame.
He was in Star Wars? Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think he was part of a bridge crew on one of the ships. Bit part.
Yeah, I mean that's the holy grail of cameos.
Yeah.
To make it onto Star Trek movie or Star Wars movie cameo. Yeah. There's a lot of people that you wouldn't know.
Yeah. A lot of people yeah, thanks Battle Vortex. I thought the pronunciation for Takei was correct. So all right. So we've blathered on. This is what I really want to know, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talk, and we're gonna. My back is hurting. We're gonna answer questions and things like that, but we don't really know what people are getting value out of. I mean, we're guessing, you and I, right? So if you don't mind and you're in front of your keyboard, I'd really like to hear what you'd like us to cover. Do you have a question?
Oh, you're not talking to me. You're talking to the viewers.
I'm talking to the viewers, right? Yeah. Did you look down at your keyboard and oh, yeah,
I did. I'm like ready to type.
Would you start, please, talking about? No, in all seriousness, we're guessing for the most part as to what people want to hear in our little communities. So do me a favor, type a question. Let us know what you'd rather hear more of, and we'll do our best to take a stab. We've already got a couple of questions from our Facebook group that we still need to answer here, and since we're at the 1 hour mark, I think it's appropriate for you, Mr. Marcus, to plug our product and tell everybody why we're here.
All right. So, and I want to mention one other thing, which is those of you who are watching the video after the fact, feel free to leave comments on the YouTube video of what it is you're looking for, because that is in essence, it's good of us to provide to you what you're seeking if we can. It's also good for us to bring shit out that you've never even thought of before, so you can think of how to expand on that. And so that's kind of the two parts there. Now, the product that we've got is exclamation point no job in Twitch chat, or it's a link in the description in YouTube. And basically, if you've ever thought about being a professional gamer or YouTuber or whatnot, and I'm not talking like having the most kills in the game, I'm talking about making content of videos on YouTube, just like I do. you can make a living at this. I know so many people that make a living just off of YouTube, and then Twitch as well. And so if you've ever thought about doing that, check it out, because we basically take you from the very start. We don't assume that you know anything. If you do, then you'll find some of the stuff easy at first. But even when you get to the end, you're still going to encounter stuff that you've never even thought of before, even if you've published 500 videos. And basically, did you guys know that the money that you make off of YouTube, that 80% of it does not come from advertising? I mean, how many of you knew that? And because that money that comes from the advertising, from you guys seeing an ad or subscribing to YouTube Red or whatnot, and the person who's made the content receiving payment for that, that is only about 20% of the income. And some people it's even less. But some people it's more, because there's a whole bunch of people out there that are making content. I mean, we run into other YouTubers all the time, and I'm like looking at their stuff, and I'm like, they don't have any of this other stuff. And I'm like, holy cow, we could totally blow their mind. And so we can blow your mind too, and show you what all this money is that's out there that people are not taking advantage of, and how to take advantage of it. So that is one of the things. And our goal, or at least my goal, is that everybody who is willing to put in the hard work and wants to be self-employed, be their own boss, making videos and putting them on publishing them on YouTube, that's what I want to help with. So because I do it, and I love what I do, and I enjoy helping others do it as well. So there you go.
Yeah. So the package includes, all for $45. It includes over 7 hours of video, a couple of guides to download. If we stopped right there, trust me, you'd get the value out of it. But we also go a step beyond that. For a limited time, anyway, we're not going to do this forever. We've got a YouTube group that is just committed to talking about the stuff that's in this product, as well as a live webinar where you can join us and ask questions and get the answers real time, and we'll do screen shares and stuff like that. In addition to that, you get to bring a friend along. Now, I've had some technical challenges trying to make sure that everybody gets to invite their friend into the group, into the closed Facebook group, and when we do the webinar, having the webinar. But trust me, it's coming. If you happen to be somebody who purchased the product, I haven't forgotten about my promise. Your friends will be allowed to join us. I just have to tweak the settings a little bit.
We ventured into a new area for both of us here with some of this stuff. I mean, Jordan has expertise in certain areas, I have expertise in certain areas, and putting it all together, there's still some areas that we're like, we got to figure this out. So, and we've actually spent a lot of time. It took us 8 months to get this product published, and it doesn't take 8 months to come up with the product, but it's all the other technical stuff behind it. So,
yeah,
entrepreneurs.
And by the way, Popcorn BMX said, what's a good mindset to have as a successful entrepreneur? I got to tell you right now, we did not know. In fact, this is like the sales funneling and the membership part of it. This is what I do, right? But even at that, I still didn't know exactly how this was going to work. So as an entrepreneur, as a regular person, right, a consumer, somebody who was taught not to fail at all costs, whatever you do, don't fail, okay? They would be terrified, and they wouldn't, like most people wouldn't know, like we do, that you gotta take action. You gotta jump into this thing, and that there are going to be some bumps in the road, and there are going to be some things that are going to be not good. There are going to be some things that are going to happen where you're going to get stumped, right? That's part of the journey. I mean, it's not a failure unless you quit, right? And I think that's the one big common denominator I think I see with all successful entrepreneurs. They've had some catastrophic disasters, and not a single one of them would point at any of those disasters and say, yeah, that one was a failure. That one's a failure. Nope. Nope. They all
Mm-hmm.
are like, you know what? There are going to be some bumps in the road. I mean, it's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Chip, if you are in the program and you have not seen the videos, somehow you missed one of the most important parts of the whole thing. Check the initial emails right from when you purchased it. And if you don't see it, contact us and we'll hook you up.
Yeah,
Um,
if this is the chip that I think has been posting in our YouTube success group, just post to me in our YouTube success group and we'll get you fixed out. But before you do, check your inbox and check your spam folder to make sure that you can find those emails to get access to the videos.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, in fact, that comes like almost right away, right when you purchase.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. And by the way, me Melissa too said Simon Pegg, the new Scotty, was also in Force Awakens. Good call, me Melissa too. You're absolutely right. He was actually the broker for the girl for the main character Rey on that desert planet. You know, he was the one that was essentially giving her the food
hmm.
for her scraps that she was getting off of the ships. So good call, me Melissa too. That's a good one. Um, so Leo Leopard Dr. Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to talk about the culture and reflect on the market. I think that's a really good point. That's a really good point because you might think like, you know, what we need to do for this market is we need to go and solve that problem. Without talking to people and figuring out what the culture is within that market, you might be wasting your time. You might be
Mm-hmm.
wasting a lot of your time. And you know what? That's really kind of the key about doing the research and stuff. It's so that you don't waste your time building a huge product and investing a ton of your time before you find out whether or not anyone's even interested. I mean, this is one of the first things that you and I were talking about when we were talking about creating this product,
It's one of
right?
the tenets of how I do business is that I do some sort of initial test right in the beginning of some very minimized version of whatever the product would be before building out this big thing. You just can't. I've done it the other way before, and it sucks when you work on something for months and you put it out there and then nobody cares. So I'd rather have found that out a lot earlier. Work on something else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And we also have Antares says, why does some of my YouTube videos not get a single view? It's all about attraction, and we actually have one of the courses in there is about exactly that.
Yeah,
So
and Terrace has been posting a lot in our YouTube group. So you've got some good posts, good questions. Not an English speaker for
okay,
our
mm-hmm.
YouTube videos, right? So you're forcing me, Antares, to to dig the cobwebs out and try to remember my Spanish from when I used to live in the United States Southwest. A lot of Mexican friends, a lot of Mexican family. Um, with that in mind, I think what we've seen on your videos is not a whole lot of title descriptions, which is what we talk about in our videos. I don't see a lot of thumbnails that attract more viewers, which is also a subject that we talk about in our videos. So it may certainly seem like, you know, I'm doing all the things that I can do, but there are some improvements to be made, I promise you. And by the way, you're not the only one suffering from no views. I remember before you and I started talking about this, Marcus, I had some views of some Let's Play, or excuse me, I had some videos of some Let's Play um, games that I was doing with some friends, and I was like, yeah, we haven't gotten any views. You were
Mm-hmm.
like, what?
What
Yeah,
what's really great is that can be fixed after the fact. So
Yeah, you don't have to get it perfect first time
Well,
when you upload, right?
well, what I mean by that is that if you've had a video that's been out there for 6 months and really hasn't had any views, it's okay. It can still be fixed. You don't have to like remake the video in most cases. In most cases, it's really about the attraction of getting people there to start watching in the first place.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and so that time making those videos is not wasted. It just needs a little bit more time working on the attraction.
yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. Me, Melissa, too, said, do you teach how to use YouTube to actually market a product? We teach strategies specifically for games and gamers that certainly can be used for business. And as a matter of fact, in our YouTube success group, I'm starting to talk more and more to business owners who are saying, yeah, I got the product. It was a great product. And I'm really not going to be making game videos with it. I'm really thinking in terms of how am I going to market my business using YouTube. I assure you, all of the strategies apply just like Marcus says he uses his Eve Online strategies for real life business and vice versa. It's kind of the same thing, right?
it's a philosophy, a way of thinking, a way of doing things, and it can apply to so many different areas. Because just like I do a gameplay video of how to play a game, is just like what I did for making all my limousine service videos, which were so successful,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing applied to limousine service and to video games.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in a lot of cases, you can just replace the word video games with, you know,
Product or business or service.
product. Yeah. Your hot tub videos or your, whatever. And I actually would love to explore that even more, because I think that there are so many ways in video to attract people to products and everything, and to introduce them to them without needing to be a salesperson. And it just happens by providing good information that
Mm-hmm.
you get sales. And I love it when that happens, because you're just providing good information out there and you're getting some sales from it, so you're earning from it. That's awesome. But also the people who are looking for the knowledge and not looking to purchase are also getting full value out of it, and it's not wasting their time.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Haas or Leonard is talking about patents. He's saying each year a maintenance fee must be paid. He also talks about a small entity. Number one means an entity that employs 50 or fewer people, or a university. It's all really good stuff, really good information. The problem is, and this is one of the reasons why I'm probably going to call my patent attorney friend. So there's so many rules that you want to defer to a patent attorney. At least in the state of Florida, right? You can find organizations and groups for inventors and things like that, and they always have somebody who's kind of their go-to patent attorney, so to speak. I personally, I like the idea of building a market first. Of, one of the things that let's see here. Somebody posted something really good. He said, sorry, you're just going to have to entertain yourself for a moment. Oh, yeah. BMG Fan 1 was talking about, hey, look, if you're going to talk about culture, right, and that includes fixing problems that aren't problems, or fixing a problem with a solution that is far more trouble than it's worth to use. He said the best products are simple ones,
absolutely.
right?
Don't
So,
fix the entire problem. Fix one little portion of it.
yeah,
A million times over.
yeah, and speaking of which, I think this is worth a very short story. I'm talking to a guru one day. This guy is an entrepreneur like you would not believe. He's also a phenomenal marketer. And he said, all right, so you see those inventor how-to commercials on TV. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, the ones where, they say if you've got an idea or an invention, you call us and we'll
Mm-hmm.
help you bring it to market.
And we did the George Foreman grill. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
well,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the current one. That's the current iteration, right?
Mm.
He says the funny thing about those guys is they'll charge you $10,000, and what they'll do is they'll walk you through how to submit your product, not for patent, but to manufacturers who will make it for you. And he says the problem is that they're not very ethical about how they go about this, because none of the manufacturers accept those proposals in the way that those companies are submitting them effectively. So what you're doing is you're giving somebody $10,000 for nothing, really, at the end of the day, right? So he comes up with a product that's $300, and he says, here's the deal: it's a 3-ring binder, and it's going to tell you everything that you need to know, every single step about the patent process, getting your product to market, the whole 9 yards. And he went and went about trying to sell it. And he said he spent probably $100,000 on advertising and didn't make one sale.
Wow.
Not a single sale. And then at which point in time he's like, and he didn't just try the same thing with $100,000. He's a smart marketer. So he was adjusting headlines. He was changing his pitch. He was constantly testing, constantly changing for $100,000, right? And he says, you know what? I really think I know what's the problem here. So he invests another $100,000 into testing, right? So now he's $200,000 in, hasn't got one single sale. He even tried giving them away, couldn't give them away, right? Turns out, at the end of this process, frickin' phone, and he talks to the market. He actually calls people who are his market.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he found out? They don't want to know how to do it. They don't want the
They
right
want to pay
way.
someone to do it for them.
That's exactly right. They were
Mm-hmm.
sold on the fantasy that I'm going to pay somebody $10,000 and they're going to make me a freaking millionaire because they're going to take it and run with it. And I'm going to live off of royalties for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
He calls him and says, "But that's not happening." They hang up on him. They don't want to hear about it. Screw that. Screw you. If that's really how it works, then the world can just do without my special invention, whatever, right? So the moral of the story here is, if he had picked up the phone and talked to 10 people in his market first, he would not have wasted a year and $200,000, right? And this is repeated by all of us. Every one of us who is not willing to actually talk to the market and just ask them what's going on, what do they complain about, all of that stuff. If we're not willing to do that, then you got to have somebody who is. You got to have an expert. A pillar of knowledge is what we call it. Like, you're a pillar of knowledge in your industry, Marcus. Like, if I wanted to ask you what's going on in video games. I mean, video games is a pretty big industry, but you've got your finger on the pulse of a lot of what's going on. As a matter of fact, you never brag on yourself, so I'm gonna drop this name for you. But you've got CEOs of very big companies calling you, asking you, "Hey, what do you think about XYZ? What's going on over here?" and all of that, because the CEOs know they need to be talking to somebody in the industry. They need to be talking about somebody in the market, right? So you're that guy for them.
Interesting. Yeah, I always wondered why they called me. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like, the CEO of Atari called me out of the blue one day.
Atari.
Yeah, and he didn't tell me that he was from Atari, that he was CEO of Atari or whatnot. He just asked me questions. He just had intelligent questions, so I talked to him. And yeah, I've had that happen a few times now. So, later on, now I know he's CEO of Atari, and I still talk to him. We talk, every few months or whatever. So, but yeah,
and it's that That's the hallmark of a very smart business move by probably somebody who thinks like an entrepreneur, who needs to understand what, make sure that they know what's going on in the marketplace, you know?
Yeah. So, okay. We're at an hour and a half now.
Yep.
What's your plan?
Well, I would love to stay and chat. There's a lot going on in chat here. As a matter of fact, Mr. Joe Trocious said, "Do you think you will ever make iterations of this product to keep up to date with ever-changing algorithms YouTube uses?" The answer is, the reason why we put it in the format that we did is so that when a video becomes old and stale or not relevant anymore, it's pretty easy for Marcus and I to just re-record it and drop it into the members section. So it's a very good question.
We can replace those, but also we don't say, here, go look for this button and click it or whatnot. We just tell you the process that it goes through to obtain the goal, so that because this isn't a thing of, okay, look for the red button that's got a green circle around it and click that. It's not like that at all. It's like, look for, how to complete this and move to the next thing. Because we know in technology a couple of things. One is that this stuff changes all the time. And two, then there's split testing. And, if you use PayPal as much as I do, you know that PayPal all the time is giving me completely different interfaces. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to find this payment? And they're just testing. I actually had to make a request to PayPal with our account saying, please take us off of the split tests, because off of all this testing, just give us, whatever, and we just want to stick with it. And so they did, but now they don't. It's like that. They did for a while. And so, so we don't hand you the fish. We don't look and point at the fish and say, pick that up. What we do is we teach you how to find the fish and go and get it. So that's kind of the philosophy.
Yeah. So you're going to get a lot of good information, and like I said, just ask in chat. People will tell you in chat that they're getting some good value out of it. Well, with that in mind, I hate to go, because I always enjoy our conversations, Marcus, and we're getting some great comments from all of our viewers, but I have to go.
Yeah. So do I. I actually have to go and ship out a bunch of product that I sold.
Oh, are you going to do another unboxing?
No.
Video?
Did you see my show this morning? You probably weren't up. You probably worked late at night.
I do.
I started at 4:30 this morning.
Yeah, that would definitely been sleepy time.
Yeah. It wasn't even light outside. I did a live show in my backyard of packaging all the boxes.
Oh, I saw. You know what? I saw the thumbnail. Speaking Antares, by the way, looking at you, saw the thumbnail that you put together, Marcus. Solid, really, really good. You chose the perfect frame. You got the text on there. My compliments to you. It was a really good thumb.
It's becoming an art. So
I'll tell you, you got to attract people to your videos.
Yeah, in YouTube, it's the thumbnail. So yeah. Okay.
Hey, thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And it's !no job in Twitch chat, and there's a link in the description in YouTube. You can check it out. You can join us. You too can be making videos. We'll teach you how. And then we will see you on the next episode. And for those of you that are always showing up for the live shows, tomorrow morning, got more. Got Eve, and then I'm going to introduce you all to Paladins, a game that I've never shown on the show before. And you're going to... I'm starting right at the beginning, so... You're going to watch me make a fool of myself. It'll be fun. Okay, so, hey, you got your glasses?
I've got my glasses.
We got to exit in style.
That's right. Even though somebody essentially called us a couple of old farts earlier, I'm good with that.
So am I. So, okay, here we go. On our way out. And... This clock is always cash. Need to keep no count. I'm liking it. I don't know what it is about this song. I just like it.